deal with my wisdom tooth and shit. Like, well, huh?
We are live.
Where'd the clock go?
Right there.
We got a button over here. So,
Okay.
all right, we're going to call this meeting to order. Mr. Hoops, we're calling this meeting to order at 6:02 PM. Doesn't look like we need to do an appointment of any alternates. Got that covered. Been any changes to the agenda?
So there, might as well just go over the few changes now. So the case, that's number one, that's the public hearing that was continued for Green Oak Realty Development. They asked for another continuance to the May 21st planning board meeting. I did discuss that with his attorney. So that's going to take place. And under other business, 1B, we are not going to have a discussion regarding election results since it's
Why
continued
not?
to the 28th. We're also going to continue the election of officers for 23-24, just depending upon who's voted in. And we're also going to continue the committee assignments for CIP, Zach, and master plan.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve the agenda as amended.
All right, motion by Scott, seconded by Bill. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Good. All right, so on that case number one, do we need to vote to continue this?
I would, just to be on the safe side.
That's what I was thinking.
Mr. Chairman,
I can, yes, thank you. I would rather have Tom make a motion.
oh, that's right. I can't because I
Thank you.
forgot, lost my head.
Continue hearing P 22-14 for the meeting in May.
I'll second that.
Okay, so motion by Tom Hoop, seconded by Bill. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Scott
Any
Williams
opposed?
abstains.
And
you.
Scott Williams abstained. All right, next case P 23-08, completeness review and application public hearing if accepted. This is Wolf Road site plan review, John Jedry, and this is the contractor's yard. So come on up.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'm Brian Berlin with Land Tech, and with me is John Jedry, an owner and applicant.
Right. So I think for starters, I think if we can go through and just make sure that we feel that the application is complete. And from what I was reading in this, it appeared to be complete. I think there was an outstanding fee of $1.
It's actually folded in.
Yeah, we got to hold the whole thing up for that buck, I'll tell you. I'd ask for a receipt. Oh, Tom.
All right. All right, all fees are now paid. So Jessica, was there anything else that you thought may have been outstanding on this application? I didn't see anything.
Like everything else is there.
No, I didn't see anything that was missing. It was well done.
All right, well, I'll go ahead and make the motion that we accept case P 23-08 as complete.
second,
All right, so motion by Drew, seconded by Doug, excuse me. Any discussion from the board? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. All right, waiver requests. We have just one waiver requested, and that was really had to do with the
Plan size.
plan size, and that's it.
Scale.
and the scale. So,
Yeah, it's in the back there, I think.
Yeah, you should have a copy of the site plan and Robin made copies of the plan that was presented for their ZBA application, just so you could see some additional information.
so we are looking for a motion for the waiver.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to accept the waiver request on case P 23-08. Section 3.01 F as in Frank.
And the reasoning for accepting that?
Just that it's just inches off of the regular plan size. I mean, there is, what else is there?
So you got one or two.
So, yeah, so that with strict conformity, let's see, specific circumstances relative to the site plan or conditions of the plan, such site plan indicate the waiver will probably carry out the spirit and the intent of the regulations.
Sounds great.
Perfect. Number two.
Okay,
With that seconded.
all right, so
And storage is.
Scott motioned and who seconded that?
So,
No one
so we have a
seconded it yet.
motion. I haven't heard a second yet.
I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Bill.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. All right. Got anything to present?
I'm gonna keep it very, very simple. Mr. Jeffy has had a ground pit here since 1995. Hard to know exactly when the last teaspoon got behind, but years ago, the soils were depleted. But they never went out of business. They was process material, import material. It's been a business for decades. It's on Route 28. It's well screened from the road. The main driveway is here, this being Route 28. Basically 2 levels. There's a higher level of ground here, which is a mixture of fill and excavation, and a lower level down here. What's not shown on this plan is all the stockpiles. This makes it look like a flat site, but it's anything but that due to processed material, not due to real estate. Machinery is shown throughout the plan. Has probably changed a lot, moves almost daily. There's a little trailer here that's kind of sort of an office. They do keep a portage on here, and the checklist, I said it was optional. Mr. Jeremy tells me it's there all the time. And we're showing 6 parking spaces just to complete your checklist, ladies and gentlemen. We show them there. Parking is kind of helter-skelter. If I was working on this machine and I was employee of John, I might park next to the machine. A customer coming in is not going to park here. He's going to park next to the machine where he's buying his materials from. So it's, I guess I want to make sure the record is straight that we have no intention of paving or delineating that parking. It's just flat ground and there's tons of it. Site is 52 acres. The contractor's yard is everything shown in red, which is pretty much excavated land. There's some natural wooded land here, but we're including it in the contractor's yard, which is a total of 25 acres. All drainage goes to this pond and either evaporates or transpires one way or the other. Again, this has been operating for many years. It's environmentally sound. We propose no buildings, no new pavements, nothing other than to continue the business. To us, this is kind of a housekeeping matter, and I think Jessica feels the same way. They received a special exception in 2018 for this, but never followed through with the site plan, which is what we're doing now. And with that, I will be silent. No, the zoning board plan shows the proposed building, but that has been abandoned. If you look at the zoning board plan, that, yeah, that is from that. Yeah, that's gone.
So one of the points that you made was that it was well screened, and it was funny because this year was the first year that I actually saw that yard while driving down 28, clear as day. I don't know if they're,
Must have been winter.
well, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, but it's funny. I'd never noticed it before. It just caught my eye this. So, but when the foliage is out, it is screened. I mean, you can't tell there's anything going on in there, so.
But it's no longer an excavation pit, which is a different set of rules. It is the pit part is over.
Yeah.
It is a processing area. And sales.
All right, does the board have any comments or thoughts or? Nothing,
That activity's been going there for years, so.
yeah.
Yeah, it says here since 1983.
That's when I bought
That's when you bought, okay.
And I believe it was a pit even before then.
Well.
Yeah.
it. was a party pit.
Yeah, right. But in 95, he got a site-specific permit from DES to effectively mine it.
Okay,
Remember, we used to go in there and it was level. Maybe down a little bit, but it was level. It went all the way out there and.
Giving away all the good spots back in the day.
Revise the letter, waiver letter and narrative based on the planner review.
okay.
So those two checklist items are done. Thank you.
All right, perfect.
All right. Nothing more out of the board. Open up for public comment. Anybody from the public want to speak? Hearing none, I'll close the public portion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve case P 23-08.
Can I just call for a point of order? So
Sure.
you guys need to do, so. There are sections in the planner review. That you guys, even if you don't have any concerns, that you should at least address. Like, maybe commenting on the septic system and whether or not you feel that there are 6 employees. You know, does that warrant any, you know, is that fine with not having septic system? Then you guys can comment on that. Things like these other pages like fire protection, although, you know, you guys may not have concerns on that, but you guys need to at least state, you know, because these are the requirements of a site plan. The state is now requiring the board to provide findings of fact throughout the application and being presented at the board's meetings. So you may not have issues with it, so you can just go down and just say, you know, sufficient information was provided. I have no concerns.
But I hear you saying we should go through these findings point by point.
So something should just at least be discussed.
Yeah.
Whether it's a discussion or whether it's, you know,
The
I
note
don't
you
have
have in
any
here at the
what was
end
presented.
is really good and explains it very well. The concept simply being that for a notice of the decision down the road in a court, if the explanation is not given, there's an automatic reversal, or it can be an automatic reversal. So when we grant something, we have to say it meets the requirement because of X, you know, so. Well, we can simply go down through each of these sections and we can all chip in on the reasons for it.
and it can just be very brief, as long as you guys have it just at least acknowledged the different sections, and you can thank the state for that.
We'll send them a card.
Yes. So we, you know, probably first thing you start off with is discussing the fact the ZBA did grant approval for this, being in a rural zone.
Well, we should start with non-sewered.
So non-sewered area system siting requirements, and, you know, this is a to me, this is similar to any other construction site, and porta potties are, as long as they're properly serviced, are an acceptable means to
Yep.
handle the waste.
Agreed.
Okay, well, we handled non-sewered then.
We
There you
did.
go. It's not that painful. Yeah, as long as you guys just.
As long
at
as we
least-
talk about it, we don't have to write it down. We just, as long as. we
So it's going to
talk
be
about it.
captured in the minutes and it will be added
Okay.
to the notice of decision.
Fire protection. Other than his little trailer, there's nothing there to burn. Well, maybe a machine once in a while.
But it's also out in the open and there's nothing else around it that's gonna catch fire.
And the fire department didn't have
department
any concern.
And that's the most important. The fire
And
department didn't have
just
any
so the fire
concerns.
department can access that pond
Yep.
if they need it for water in the area without permission. Traffic impact analysis.
State approved.
It's been existing for so
It's
long
on a
now.
straight hunk of road.
Everyone
so-
knows there are trucks pulling in and out and the drivers are usually very conscientious about that.
Off-street parking, you could
Yeah.
probably put 500 cars there if you wanted to.
Yeah, the fact that it's unstructured, I think addresses that.
forgot
Mhm.
traffic impact.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, we covered
we
the
did that
traffic
with the-
along
yeah,
street
we did
section of
that.
road.
site landscaping, the site changes constantly, so what's the sense to landscape it?
Drew didn't
Lighting.
even know it was there.
Lighting, I don't believe they work there at night, so there's no reason to have light.
There's nothing on the plan.
Stormwater drain and erosion control, as the gentleman outlined.
Pond is the drainage side.
Pondage is the retention for anything that might have silt in it. Snow storage, again, I think his
Plenty.
business is much reduced in the winter months and there's plenty of parking. Utilities,
It's gonna be closed in the winter, so.
right,
Yep.
so utilities, I think they run generators down there if they need it. And look at.
So on
nobody
on
had
the
any-
utilities, I got a quick question. How do you deal with fueling the equipment?
Battery operated pumps.
Okay, so you have a stationary tank that gets filled and then you pump from that. Okay.
That we hit the bases, didn't we, I think?
I
Yep.
think.
And I did speak with Mr. Belinda earlier and he had a question about the thresholds for active and substantial development. And we both kind of talked about the fact that, it's an existing project. It's been there for a long time. So I thought maybe the board might come up with, the submission of the proper number of plans for the chairman to
Does this have
sign.
to be recorded?
This is
Or-
part of your,
If-
this
No,
is
it
part of your,
It's in the office then.
Yeah, it's just in the office. So because I couldn't think of any other thresholds, it could just be, submit final plans.
yeah, because it's there.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
nothing.
But
you
we're
can do.
still on your motion, Scott.
Well, I didn't really go anywhere with it, so
No, but we all chipped in and helped you with
Okay.
those thresholds.
I'll continue on.
Yes.
You good with that, Drew?
Yeah.
Okay, case P 2308. We addressed all items of concerns. And to approve this as it's been submitted.
I'll second that.
Okay, so motion by Scott, seconded by Bill. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. All right,
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Your patience.
While we went through our class. Excuse me. Okay, so the next case before us, case 2309. This is the subdivision, minor subdivision. Tina and Daniel Lauren on Route 140.
Evening.
What's that?
I said, good evening.
Good evening. All right. So step number one, completeness. So we're missing utilities plan, soils map and soils report. And no waiver requests for those?
They're all on page 2 on the topography plan.
Gotcha.
There are 2 waivers, but they both deal with the drive.
Yep, and then normally, normally the utilities and soils have been noted on the
Permitted,
subdivision
yeah.
plan and the topo plan, and you guys have approved that at other meetings. Okay.
All right, so I'll make a motion to accept case P 23-09 as complete.
Scott second.
Okay, motion by Drew, seconded by Scott. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? None. All right. Okay, waivers. So the first waiver request is section 7, Roman numeral 7.E.2. Lowercase j driveway profiles and cross sections. I don't see a reason why you're requesting the waiver.
The reason is that we are using the existing I'll introduce myself, Steve Oles, Norway Plains, on behalf of Lawrence. They're here with me. We are using the existing trail that is currently there, and we don't plan on creating any new driveway locations, and we just plan on expanding the trail and making it conform to the town fire stations requirements.
Snowmobile trail.
Right.
It's a trail. Yes,
Right.
it's going to be converted over to a driveway.
So you got the driveway permit.
Or we have the state DOT driveway permit, yes.
I have a question, which is that will be 2 driveways on 1 lot.
There is going to be.
It'll be a right of way, but it's still a driveway.
Correct.
And I think that the proper method would be to take the junction off of that, have a dual access on the 1 drive. Because the way it reads is you're not permitted to have 2 driveways on a particular lot. Even though there's a right of way for the second lot, it's still a driveway on 2 driveways on a lot.
But I guess to build on that too, the other question for me is that Woods Road goes beyond the proposed subdivision here onto another piece of property as well.
Correct.
Is there any shared agreement on that Woods Road at this point?
There is nothing in the deeds, both of the abutter and of this lot.
So there's no right of way.
I will admit Tom has a pretty valid point with the 2 driveways being on one lot. Although the highway representative didn't
Oh,
have any
you
concern.
already
with
have the
that, I
driveway
don't
permit, you
think.
said,
I
right?
had both driveway permits. from the state.
Yeah,
It's covered.
and he didn't state any concerns about the 2 being on 1 lot, which I get it.
But there had to be some type of shared maintenance agreement on this, right?
Well, 1 driveway, we're trying to avoid the wetlands impact. So the 1 driveway is for the 1 lot, the other driveway is for the other lot. So right now. Yeah, it's just a trail. That's right here. That's gonna be the 1 driveway. The other driveway is gonna be post easement area to go around the wetlands.
You wouldn't get a wetlands permit for that one.
2 cuts.
Yeah,
So there's 2 curb cuts on its 1 property.
well,
Well, he said he got 2 driveway permits from the state, so I'm assuming,
you got one of them for a snowmobile trail.
he said he got.
Do you have
driveway
There's 2 driveway permits. I have it right here.
Given the driveway permits.
Yes,
The town doesn't permit that, though.
permits. Yeah,
State does.
state, it's a state right away.
They're the only ones that have jurisdiction over that.
We have the
So they-
jurisdiction over the property.
Yeah, they have jurisdiction over the curb cuts, but we have jurisdiction over the properties. True. So
Why can't they go with a shared driveway?
Concept that would be easiest is where the elbow is in the access for the wet lot. Right where the elbow is, if you took off and went to the Woods Road. It would be a very simple, I mean, what have you got for the scale here? I'm not sure.
50 scale, depending on if
50, so it's probably 70 feet to the elbow. That would be shared for 70 feet, and then that driveway would take off. It's a short distance from the elbow to the Woods Road.
Hi, I'm Dan Lauren. We were trying to avoid a shared driveway on the property.
Yeah.
And because one driveway is far to the property line, which is the snowmobile trail, and the other property has to go around the wetlands, we have the correct amount of road frontage for both lots.
Yeah.
But we didn't, we can't do the wetlands crossing.
Oh, I
So much of it.
understand that.
We were trying to avoid having a shared driveway because that's always a hassle for homeowners who maintains it, all of that. So by separating them, roughly 100 feet apart, we were hoping to get that passed. And like I said, the state had no issue with it, so.
Yeah, but it's the town that's got the issue now.
Right.
If that was,
If it is an
If we-
issue.
well, if we let it go this
Right.
time, is it gonna be
Yeah.
something everybody's gonna do?
So
What is your issue with it?
You can't have two.
It's
It's
part
the
of the
number of cuts
regulations.
on the road,
Well, the state already approved.
It's
it.
not the
right?
state.
But
it's
from the
town.
town's point of view, the more cuts you have getting onto a road, the more
that's from Scott, no concern.
it does, the frontage is not the concern, is that it's the more cuts that there actually are, is the more
Business.
interception of traffic.
Because of the.
No.
So
If the
the
driving
fewer
regulations
cuts that you
don't
can
know.
put on a road, the better off everybody is from the point of view of traffic.
Whether it's a shared driveway or not, it's gonna be the same amount of cars going in and out.
Right,
That's
but it's
gonna
at
be
one
concerned.
location people get used to.
So,
If it wasn't for the wetlands, we would have no problem putting that driveway in the same
I
spot,
understand that.
yeah.
20
Tom-
feet apart.
Yeah, Tom, just a point of order. So the highway department has reviewed it and found no concerns. I think we're arguing
Right.
a moot point.
Yeah, the town,
Yeah.
I think one thing we need to keep in order, because I know we trying like two houses on a lot because it creates legal problems later on. I guarantee you a shared driveway will cause heartache at some point. They just don't make sense.
Yeah.
in my personal opinion.
Exactly.
But are we opening a can of worms? for
No,
everybody else?
Well, the highway department.
Yeah, so the highway department is the regulating for the driveways on the lots, and they have said that they have no concerns.
Right, but what I'm
But
getting
that's
at
not
is-
consistent with what the regulations say,
Right,
right?
the difficulty where this came
I'm-
from,
I'm
Drew,
all-
really,
I'm on their side, but what I'm just trying to say is we're gonna open up a can of worms down
Amen,
the
I
road
agree.
that people are gonna start saying, well, hey, wait. a
there
minute.
were a lot of people who over in the
So-
past had requested U-shaped driveways so they could drive in and drive out without having to turn. And
And there are a lot of those around town.
some of them pre-exist and some of them just existed.
So we could kick this back to Scott and say, are you sure?
Well, I don't understand how we went to him in the first place. They're not the ones approving
The,
the
the,
driveways.
the department heads get all notified when something comes in. That's why that happened. Would you agree? Am I correct in that, Jessica?
Yes, every application.
But I'm in Lee's camp that we really need to understand this relative to.
I just don't
So-
wanna open up a can of worms
So
down the
I
road.
guess my question to Jessica is who makes that decision on the driveways on the lot, the driveway or driveways on the lot? And
Well,
instead
if
it's
it's town
highway
road,
department,
if it's town road,
Right.
Scott does. If it's a state road, Division 3 does.
right, for the curb cuts. So,
But that still needs to get through the planning board for approval.
so where is the regulation specifically listed that says you cannot have two driveways?
I don't think I've ever seen it.
I think that exists because I personally experienced that.
Does,
situation.
there is a a regulation. I can't spell that one off the top of my head.
You're usually pretty good at that.
I'm not that familiar with the highway regs.
But,
Um,
well, you answered my
but
question.
there-
It's in
there
the
is.
highway regs.
Yes.
So it is
It's
not,
the highway regulations policies. Yep.
okay.
Okay, so the highway department must have reviewed that. That's why he gave you that
So
letter.
it's not in the subdivision regs. It's not,
No,
so,
driveways are all under
And we're,
the public works director.
we're good. now.
That's where you go
So-
to get your permit.
I think that just
Well,
answered
no
that
problem.
question.
Me, myself, I got no problem. I did
Yeah.
the same thing he did, but I'm just saying, is there gonna be people down the road that where we're getting so much building going on, all of a sudden we're gonna get people going, oh, well, gee, so-and-so did it.
Right.
And
So
they say on state property, well, it don't matter. Are you gonna?
They have the permit at this point right now. So let's leave it at that. But my question would be, we should contact the road agent and ask what the policy is going to be down the road in the future. Just,
I mean, I think as Mr. Lawrence stated that it's because of the wetlands. There was like no
And we-
other
we-
I
But,
thought,
alternative.
I fully understand
can
that,
I-
but
can I
some,
just-
some land
can
doesn't have.
can I reel this in just for a second? Because we were on waivers and we've like way gone past that at this point. So let's back up to the waiver section again, if we can. So the first one was the driveway profiles and cross sections, sections 1 and 2. I don't really have so much of an issue with granting that kind of a waiver. But I think with the fact that you're trying to convert a snowmobile trail into a driveway, I think that what has to be added under the conditions is that it is built to, driveway standards and requirements. So,
Well, and there's also this letter from the fire department explicitly saying about the size and width of the road.
Correct. The width and slope,
Right,
which we will
yeah.
take into account and build
But-
accordingly to meet the fire department's standard.
Yeah,
So
but
I-
that conflicts though with what the requirements for a class 6 road are. For somebody building on a class 6 road, they only have to have it 14 feet wide. I thought 18 feet was a bit extreme.
I agree with you completely. 18 feet is out of bounds. If you can't get a fire truck down a 14-foot wide road that's 8.5 feet wide, you shouldn't be driving.
Well-
Their point is always,
well,
If you have,
What's that?
I would simply suggest have a pull-off place in a couple of spots,
Oh, yeah.
because you're gonna need them for snow plowing.
What'd you say?
Yes, exactly. Pushing snow out of the way.
Let's in the past, and if people have had an extremely long driveway, I forget what the dimensions were, but I think they're somewhere in the fire department. Is they have a pull off. So if there is a fire there and there has to be a shuttle going in and out, they can pull off and let somebody else by and then they can continue on. But
that's correct, because I've personally
Yes.
experienced it.
so
That shouldn't be a problem at all because the first lower tier is a
But I
great spot
said
for a pull off.
okay, so are you gonna go
Halfway
up
up the
over
curve.
that steeper section right there with its 25% grade? Because way back there?
Yes.
Well, that's a long driveway.
Oh, yeah. Here for that house.
Gonna be a good view up there.
Ooh, boy,
Peaceful, quiet.
Quiet,
the co-op's gonna send you a turkey.
all underground.
I come back to Drew's point and on the waiver request, some type of detail on that driveway, I think needs to be seen.
Yeah, I would agree with that on
Yeah,
the
you've
long
got some
driveway.
That's in the
challenges.
I think that should be in the subsequent or ahead of time.
That should go into subsequent because it's not a requirement to construct that driveway to get approval tonight.
But then how do we deal with the waiver?
Yeah, because accepting the waiver
Yeah.
Gets rid of
negates
it.
any follow-up on that.
We simply say that the waiver is being placed into the subsequent requirements. No?
No.
Or you're not requiring, or you're gonna deny the waiver and you're gonna make them submit information.
So,
Or we can
Um,
provide design plans showing that the driveway works based upon conditional approval.
Either we could make it a contingency for the building permit.
well, that's
That way they can get
shuffling
it.
down the road, but I think making denying the waiver, and then making it a condition precedent to me signing, I think makes sense.
Because I think
that
the
make
fire
sense to you?
department has the regs for the steepness and things like that, not the highway department, I don't believe. I think it's the fire department.
Correct.
with a no more than 150 feet for turnaround and
They're gonna.
Yeah, you could put a Y up there or whatever, or.
But you're gonna need some turnaround space at a house anyway, so.
That's gonna happen, yeah.
yeah, but turning
So-
an SUV around is a little different than turning around our new ladder truck, our new used ladder.
But
truck.
they're pretty explicit about that as well.
They
It has
turn
to
pretty
be a
easy 'cause they're
T
short
or a
wheelbased.
Turnaround.
Could I say something though? If we weren't subdividing, that was going to be our driveway anyways, and we wouldn't have had to go through all of this for putting one house up there for the
You're
driveway.
exactly right.
Correct.
So keep that in mind.
Discussing the driveway is kind of irrelevant.
Kind of irrelevant. It's just
Well,
whether or not you want
Well,
to.
you do
Well, I mean,
respect on-
it wouldn't have been a concern if it was just that one house lot.
Well, yeah.
That was the
it's-
original
Yeah, just so we're clear,
plan.
it still would be a concern to the fire department and the building inspector. It
Yeah, the driveway
But I-
regs can be enforced by the fire department, even on, if that lot was there all by itself, because.
But I could have went down and got a building permit today for it and got the driveway rough.
Yeah, but the building inspector would probably say, we gotta see the detail in the driveway,
Maybe.
most likely. I think most likely.
Through one other- my experience was I built on a 1.5 mile woods road.
Mhm.
And you need a lot of base.
Tom
because
used to have to walk to his house in the spring.
come springtime. I had a gal who worked for me and I have to drive, half a mile out the road with my tractor. And she would climb in the bucket and I'd bring her.
Dump her out when you got there? or
No,
what?
no.
all right, so that's
But
way
you
too
need a
much
base
information.
road. So I mean, you really do need to think about,
Um,
if you're converting something, you gotta have some material in there.
Oh, we're-
I'd make- I'd make
we're-
it real.
we're-
Cut and build quite a bit to make.
All
it,
right.
convenient.
So I'm gonna reel this in again. My best abilities, and I am gonna make a motion that we deny these waivers. And make the provision of providing driveway profiles and cross sections as a condition precedent. To the issuance of this approval.
I would second that.
So that was motion by Drew, seconded by Doug. Any other discussion here on the board? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Any abstentions? None. Okay.
The CC still have.
Driveway
Okay.
site distance analysis. So that is the second waiver request. That is section Roman numeral 7, little e dot 2 dot little k.
And I would say that the DOT has made that assessment. That's why the permit has been granted. So I'll move to approve number 2 of the driveway site distance.
I will second that.
All right, motion made by Scott, seconded by Doug. Any other discussion?
One question is on the new lot that's being created with all the wetland. The Conservation Commission still has markers for the setback for 25-foot, the 25-foot setback on the wetlands. So those are available. The only reason you put them in is because somebody who's going to come in may not know about wetlands or the requirements and not to fill the wetlands.
And they have to be put on a post now and bolted to the post, because a lot of times when they were put on trees have a habit of growing and pop the disc off and it falls on the ground and it gets covered. in leaves and-
You don't have to have that many.
Right, so with regard to
Two.
this waiver, we have a motion, we have a second. Was this specific to that waiver, Tom? or-
No,
Okay,
He went off course again.
yeah. So all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Okay. All right. Now, apologize for that, but if anything else you'd like to walk us through? I think we covered quite a bit there just in discussing the waivers.
It's literally 11 acres.
This is 11 acres, but they 3.5 acre and then over 7 acre lot.
Full road frontage. One lot subdivision.
All right.
Simple. We already have the state subdivision approval and we already have an approved septic design for the upper lot
Yeah, I see this.
or the big lot.
And that subdivision approval only handles the small lot.
Correct.
So in the plan review, it was noted, so you have since received the subdivision approval, so that you'll be able to add
It's right
that.
here. It's in our packet.
Well, I didn't get that far.
You're welcome.
Oh, look at that. Fantastic. All right.
Looks like. the
So I
proposed
suggest we go
here.
through the findings.
Yes, we certainly can, or we can open up for public comment. Hearing none, close the public session. There we go. That's all official now. All right, so we'll go through the findings here.
Well, I think the first one, which is the best use of the land, it does provide for a benefit by not going through the wetland and accessing it through dry land. So it's the best use of the land that way.
About what number?
I'm on page,
No, I'm talking about what is about the street address out there, so get an idea where it is.
It is before.
It's right after Glidden's house going up,
Okay, okay, I know right
where
where
they
it is.
just
then.
logged a few years back.
Yep, yep.
There's a fire hydrant right out front as well.
Right. Yep.
Okay, so departmental comments, in general, nobody had concerns. Fire department made some comments. We discussed this briefly, 18 feet wide. Minimum winter time,
Where do they pull this from?
NFPA 118.2.3.5.1.1.
Want to repeat that?
No, thank you.
I'm very much with Scott on this one. And that, I think an 18-foot wide driveway is excessive.
Right.
Really do.
There's more impact to the ground and more runoff and everything else that would be
Yeah.
as a result of that.
It's unnecessary if you have decent pull-offs in a few different locations.
Well, is it because of the length?
But I think that with pull-offs, there has been compromise on that in the past.
Yes, there has.
So
Just
the,
for
well, the-
information, the code is actually 220 feet wide. So they already are getting an exception.
But that's our town road system.
Right, well, they're fully able to give exceptions.
We do a
Right, but I mean, the
subdivision that
concept
handles
of
countless lots
concept
for
of
22
a
feet.
driveway meeting a town road
Right.
is excessive as far as I'm.
Code is actually getting 20 feet wide.
You don't want an 18-foot driveway.
No,
No, the point of the property is to be as private as possible, so narrow and
here, hang on. I'm sorry, Roger.
So I mean, is it a blind drive? I mean.
No.
I mean, they're talking about this hill that you're gonna climb. So obviously you can't see on the traffic. So perhaps that's why they want 18.
Look at the plan. It's pretty flat as it comes in quite a ways. And then where it goes through the shaded area, that's where it gets steep. That's a 25% slope, right?
Yeah, the steep slope. Right there, that's 25%.
Yep.
And then it's flattened out again. Round.
How?
I think
overall-
the fire department will have issue with this 25% slope.
Right, that's part of what the requirement is, to bring it down to the
Right.
town standard. It needs to be. in
Just
that area,
traverse,
bring
if
it
you
down.
traverse the hill, it'll make it a lot easier.
Yeah.
And overall, 700 feet was it you were saying? What's
Sorry?
the length of the driveway in total?
That's bloody long.
Fine.
800
700?
feet?
700 plus.
Yeah, at
A
least.
lot of shoveling.
that's why we have a plan.
That's why they have a plow.
But it probably would serve you to have a couple pull-offs to deal with the fire department.
Yeah.
Just from my
And
personal.
get
Or
that
for
slope
yourself.
down.
Yeah, I think the fire department's gonna have a lot to say about that driveway.
I've seen a lot worse driveways currently than even just going up the snowmobile trail, how it is now.
Is it all wooded?
For the most part, yes. It was logged a few years back.
Yeah, but you're still gonna need space yourself for logging and things like that for
Oh, yeah.
pulling off with trailers and other, I mean,
Yeah.
I can't emphasize
And
enough.
the reality, just the snow.
Two
berms
long
when they
driveway
build
people,
up.
we know.
So
Yeah.
it gets pretty tight.
No, there's a really good flat spot as you come, 300 feet in. There's the first flat spot, which would be kind of cleared for, pulling off or whatever. And then
Maybe just pave that as a pull-off then as a suggestion in.
it was an area where I was thinking about building a lower garage at some point,
Mhm.
possibly because it's a nice,
It could be a
probably a
compromise.
good quarter
you know,
acre or more flat.
It'd be a compromise with the fire department to address pull-offs and things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, good thought.
And fill them with snow real quick.
So relative to the overlay districts, it was suggested that you note that it is not part of the shoreline protection overlay district. And the lot shape,
It does conform.
excuse me?
It does conform to
It
lot.
does conform?
Yep.
Driveways, I think we've beaten to death. And the utilities, I mean, it's Route 140,
Yeah, and
no issues.
they're gonna be really unhappy with the co-op.
You'd be real unhappy with?
With the co-op, it's about 10,000 a pole or so.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be pricey to get power up there, but
You say they're gonna do it all underground?
That was what my plan is, do most of it underground.
oh,
if
that'll
we
be
can.
more expensive, but that's
Yeah,
okay.
so we're gonna,
Power that way.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
and-
plus-
and you
'cause you
get
gotta
rid of the
have
18-foot over, the
filters.
13.6 overhead too, with that rate too, with the fire department requested if it's buried.
well, that was my point is, with the overhead, you need to clear all that extra space past the lines.
Yep.
So,
They want usually 40, 50 feet either side of the line.
yeah.
Yeah, and with the underground, you're gonna end up having to put structures in, I think it's every 200, 250 feet.
No,
Gotta
it's
do a
more than
full-
that.
It's more
Full
than
box?
Yeah,
300?
300.
yeah, 3 or 350, I think, somewhere around in there. They'll,
For
they'll
a
let you
a
know.
vault, Yeah, a vault and transport.
And the vaults are huge nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so 4 men work in it comfortably. Well, 1 work comfortably, 3 watch.
Right.
And monumentation, so you've got all the requirements for the monumentation to be done. And that would, of course, be a condition as well. So definition of active and substantial development or building. So up to the board how to define that. Filing of all deeds and placement of monuments. As
Yeah, I think the monuments will really define it. You know, I mean, we're coming up in an area that I think we might want to not push building because the economy has a possibility to have a hiccup.
Yeah.
And so things could be slowed down as a result of that. So,
Possibility, you think, huh?
yeah, I was being polite.
And then what would constitute substantial completion?
The driveway?
I would say that put the driveway cuts in and stabilize them. And the monumentation would probably be enough to satisfy that requirement, my personal opinion.
Yeah.
If they get the driveway cuts done, that way all the state permits been satisfied and the monumentation would be for us. Any thoughts on that?
Okay, and the time frame for those, what do you think? So
We've said
Well, it's 24 months.
24 months.
4 months, no matter
Yeah.
what?
Yep.
And more if you need it. No.
You'd have to come back in though, just so
For
you'll
an
know.
extension.
What's your timing on this? Any comment on that?
We were
This
planning,
year,
within the next
So-
few months, we wanted to at least get the driveways cut in.
Yeah.
And the upper one, we might not do for a year or so, as far as the whole driveway and site work, but the lower one we were gonna do right away.
Okay.
So the smaller lot, we were planning on going right away with.
The
Okay.
24 months sounds reasonable, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, for subdivision completion. 36 months.
What do they need to complete other than the driveway cuts
The driveway cuts.
Monumentation.
and monumentation? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's handled under the 24 months. So why are we?
So they have, so by this RSA, they have 24 months to complete some threshold,
Yep.
to be vested in that active and substantial development. And they have up to the 5 years to have that substantial completion. So there's not really like another date to come up with. It's
But
an action.
What is the substantial completion? What does that entail?
Well, that would be what you guys would come up with. So ordinarily.
The
so
completion of the driveways. and-
So minor subdivisions in the past, people have come in, you've set both thresholds to set monumentation.
Yeah.
Just to give you an idea, not
Right.
to come up with like driveways
fine
and
with
all that
that.
stuff. It's up to you guys, obviously, because
I
you're the
I think
board.
24
but
months is
Historically, it's been the same threshold for
for
both,
both. Yeah.
which is normally just set monumentation.
So let's just do 24
Documentation,
months.
filing
and-
deeds, and
Yeah.
you got to do that within 2 years and I'm fine with that.
Scott.
You want to get that done as fast as you can in case you want to sell that smaller lot.
Oh, he probably
So-
does.
Have no hesitation. to get it
Just
done.
guessing.
Yeah, both driveways will be, roughed in
Yeah.
within the next couple of months.
Okay, so I think we pulled it, in other words, what Jessica's suggesting is we pull any requirements referencing driveways out. But I do believe, I mean, this is a state, so having those cuts done is going to be important.
Yeah.
So I think maybe we leave the driveway cuts in there as a requirement on the state road.
And that way, that part of it's done
Yeah.
and stabilized.
All right.
And what about driveway profile? So I guess by default, they'll have to be done to get the approval, right?
Yeah. Check with the fire department on
I
the
have,
grade of it.
I put that as a condition precedent.
Okay.
And was that to also indicate, a couple of pull-offs? Was that going to be?
Yeah, I
included
think
in
the
that?
fire department will probably say what they want for that.
Okay,
And
just
I
wanted to
think
clarify.
just throw it in their court and let them toss it around.
The
Yeah.
point being that I think it could be a concession to having this 18 feet wide the whole way.
Yeah.
And
The,
I added one last conditions precedent, and that was to install the wetland buffer markers that can be obtained in the building department.
We all know wetlands change over time. So we're gonna put up placards that don't mean anything in 10 years.
Well, you come back in with a shoreline protection.
Gotta bring the beaver tails with you, though.
That was one of our issues to begin with, is the original site plan from 1973 didn't show nearly as much wetlands as there is now. And part of the creation of those wetlands was the logging company not doing their job properly, and they ended up damming up the flow of water. So
I mean,
that's the
The
aggravation.
state's
of-
also good at that too, because they dump
Yeah.
culverts wherever they darn well please and create a wetland on your land too.
Yeah,
So,
so
we had a situation with down the Swan Road, whatever.
Swan Lake.
I was asked to do a onsite for the DES about the wetland that existed there. All it was some ruts from an old truck. And you had some vegetative growth in the rut. It wasn't a true wetland, that kind of thing happens.
Good
But
thing they didn't try to call it a
wetlands
swimming
do
pool.
grow. I mean, you get trees that fall down and over
Oh.
time, things fill in.
all the more reason to make a declaration of where you know the limits to be now. Don't let them grow.
So does that mean if it starts growing, we can go in and clean it out?
What's that?
I said, if it starts growing, does that mean we can go in and start trimming that out?
Oh, at that point, you make an appointment with DES and you go down and talk to an inspector. Very simple.
Or you can
What
go have a
can
root
you
canal,
remove?
whichever is more fun.
All right.
Talk to them.
that would have been a good idea. What can we remove?
Yeah, what can we remove?
Probably the.
During frozen winter time, you can remove anything that's not.
You don't, you don't want to say anything out loud that you're thinking of doing while being recorded. So. So do we have a motion? Do we have any thoughts on this? Any further discussion? I think we've covered all the bases. Hearing none, I will make a motion to approve case 20P 2309. As discussed with conditions precedent. And subsequent. I think that's it. That's all I got.
Second that.
Seconded by Bill. Any discussion? I did the public.
Oh, you did, I'm sorry.
Did the public.
Oh, yeah, you did, now, okay, I'm sorry.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none?
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Enjoy. Butter up the co-op.
Don't let any ticks get on that driveway.
Anyway,
Ticks.
oh yeah, I'll spray for it.
Good.
That was probably the wrong word to use. Spray for them. DDT works great.
Okay. All right, under old business, we have a memo from Jessica regarding tabling an application and the findings. In fact, we should have put that on the first list.
Yes.
So since some of you guys weren't at the last meeting, I didn't want you guys to miss out on
I
all
thought
the
this was a
fun.
remedial course here.
Yeah.
This is
So I figured
saving
I'd
your,
just
yeah,
address
do's and
that
don'ts.
again tonight. So as I kind of already stated earlier, the state is now requiring the boards to be very specific in their decisions. As you go through the application, you know, to just comment on those sections of the regulations. Because those findings of fact now get added to the notice of decision. So if there is an appeal, say in the future on an application, on an approval, the judge can look at the notice of decision.
And see what was the
See
board
all
was
the
thinking.
findings of fact, see the conditions and not have to read through minutes and this, that. So it's really come that,
Plus it will make the intent of the board a little bit more obvious.
right, so it's clear and concise as to, you know, what were the decisions that were made, what was the criteria, things like that. So that's what that is.
All right, so everybody's got a copy of that. There'll be a quiz tomorrow night.
I'll put it under my, I'll put it under my pillow.
And the state,
We table that?
the state never gave the municipalities any guidance on what exactly you're supposed to be doing. So each, you know, each town is just kind of
well, I think you
doing sort of
described
their
it well.
their own thing. So, you know, we won't know until someone takes it to court and then
Then we'll
then
know.
we get told.
Then we'll.
Yeah. And then, just to note, tabling an application. So there's no such thing as tabling an application. So there are options for the board, say if, applicant doesn't show up. For example, there's nothing in a state RSA that says that you are required to show up at a meeting.
Did we table something at one point?
Yes, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna be specific with what the case was, but in general,
Somebody
Um,
didn't show.
yeah,
Was-
so
what
if
happened?
that's the case.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, if that's the case, you guys
continue.
can still move forward with completeness. So you can just do completeness, deem it complete or not,
And the clock
and
starts.
then continue, right? Because there's a 30-day timeline for the board to address an application unless the continuance comes from the applicant themselves. Then it's a little different because
That
they're
can happen
now
without-
sort of waiving that 30-day requirement for the board to have to address that in that time frame.
And that can conceptually happen without them here.
Yes. Yep. So
That's
that's
just for the
that.
completeness though, right?
just completeness.
Yeah, I
right?
think we get
I
to
mean,
the point
you
that we
could,
could
right.
carry right on,
You
couldn't we?
could go through the whole entire approval process. I don't recommend that.
No.
Just in case you guys deny it in the end, it could look bad
Yep.
in the court of law, you know, because you had the option to continue the public hearing portion. Yeah, so I never would recommend you guys to just bowl through something.
agree.
But I would not table it, just go through completeness and then continue. Okay, so that's what that says.
All right, under new business approval of minutes. So approval of the meeting minutes for February 21, 2023. I was not present.
I was not either.
I will move that we accept the minutes because I was there.
Okay. That was
And I'll second because I was there too.
Doug and Bill.
You had a quorum?
Yes,
We did.
Just,
just enough.
Bill did a great job pitch hitting.
So yes, and so Tom, you were, as an alternate, you were in there as well. So we have a motion by Doug, seconded by Bill. Did I get that
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Okay. So all those who were present in favor?
I,
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? No, I guess not. And we have a bunch
Scott
of,
Williams will abstain.
yep, Drew Carter's abstaining. Roger's abstaining.
Go ahead, Lee.
I'm abstaining.
He's abstaining and the other two were
no one
not
said
here.
you were stained.
Has Brock, when's the last time Brock was at a meeting?
Who knows?
I am unsure.
But it was excused. It's an excused absence.
Well, we have to excuse all our selectmen.
Why?
I think that's how Jennifer terms that when they're not present.
Very
Um,
nice of her.
and we, so that passed. So then we have a request to reapprove the September 20th and October 18th, 2022 meeting minutes.
Right, so as I was, okay, so what has been taking place in the office, and when I was also secretary, I would have done the minutes, then they would have been given to the planner to review to ensure, spelling accuracy and attendance, content, things like that. Then it would go back to the secretary to fix. Then they would be copied and presented to the board to approve. So technically, the office has been doing your job.
Well,
It's
thank you.
really up to the board to do those, whatever spelling errors, minor corrections, contents, attendance, accuracy, things like that. So now that we don't have an in-house minute taker, it makes things a little more complicated. So I've not reviewed those minutes. And I've left it up to our minute taker to, type up the accurate minutes and present them to the board. So with that said, I actually found a couple of errors and they really need to be fixed. In my opinion.
Yellow.
Yes, so at the September meeting, it was written that it was Mr. Williams who had motioned to continue the public hearing. And it really was Mr. Hoops. I went back and watched these.
I'll make a motion.
Fine.
We accept the amended minutes for
The date.
September 20th.
It wouldn't have been such an issue, but it has to do with the Green Oaks case. So I just wanted that to just make sure that that was clarified and fixed for the record.
Okay, and
I'll second Tom's
you should
motion.
be abstaining on this one, I think.
Who's that for?
So this is for the Green Oaks case.
Oh,
I would just
Then I'm gonna
pull
abstain.
yourself
Yeah,
all the
okay,
way
I don't
out.
know.
Yeah, so
Watch me.
so I will second the correction.
Okay, thank you.
That's on the next, that's not on this one.
That's on the September one.
That's on the September.
And
one.
actually
Oops, up
on,
there.
it's on the October ones as well. So,
I'm just gonna stay. out.
yeah. Thank
So we have a motion by Tom, seconded by Drew. All those who remember being present at the September 20th, 2022 meeting that are in favor, say aye. Aye.
Huh?
That had nothing to do with Green Oaks. September 20 meeting had nothing to do with Green Oaks.
Well, if you look at the very, very top of this page, there's, they're referencing Tom Varney.
Yeah, but what,
It was asking for a continuous.
There's obviously, this is page 2. So page 1 had to do with all the Green Oaks talking parts.
Correct.
I know, but aren't we approving this change here, the swoops?
That
Yes.
we're saying that the motion was not made by Scott, that it was made by Tom. Right.
Scott.
Because
Because-
it's pertaining to Green Oaks, which I've recused myself from.
Correct.
Correct.
Trying to keep you
You're gonna
out
have
of
to
trouble.
take our word that this is all relative to
So-
Green
so
Oaks.
That particular motion is on Green, okay.
Correct. Yeah.
I
Yep.
follow it.
Okay. All right. So we did the motion. Any opposed? And of course, Scott abstained.
Abstains. Thank you.
Okay. So the next one had to do from the October 18, 2022 meeting. And this was again relative to the Green Oak Realty, that it was continued to
November.
December 20th, not November 1, which we don't have meetings on the 1st of November. So
Right. And neither did the ZBA.
I'll make a
so I'm
motion
sure
that
we're not-
we approve the amended minutes of
October 18th.
September,
October 18th.
October 18th.
All right. And again, I will second that motion. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And
Scott
Scott
abstains.
abstains. Excellent.
Thank you.
Next new business, B, board to sign certification for the 2023 master plan. Discussion and vote on making the master plan. Yeah, so you want to take one step at a time? You want to just dive right in and do them both? I think I already. done it, right?
Yep, we'll start down here because there's more of you guys. So Tom and Doug, you can sign off on that. That's just the certification for master plan.
Oh. So there's been discussion about making the master plan committee a more of a permanent fixture, in that they would meet twice a year just to see how we're doing and following along and keeping up with the
Good idea.
times and the change of opinions and feelings and weather and such.
Not like 15 or 20 years?
I'll take it over, Scott.
Correct. Yeah, we're gonna try something new, radical.
Which, Mr. Chair, that's actually would be the first action item addressed in the new master plan update. Just wanted
I
to point
can't
that out
sign
there.
that.
Okay.
Is this?
This is the master plan.
Oh, this is a master. Okay, I can sign that. You got me shell shocked.
Trying to set you up.
Yeah, get Brock's signature while you're at it.
So I will make the motion that we make the master plan committee a permanent standing committee to meet twice a year.
Second.
At whose call?
Motion by Drew, seconded by Scott,
By the chairman's call?
by what?
By the chairman's call, when they meet.
When they meet?
Do you want to put times like the first such in January and then June or something like that?
Can I chime in on that?
Sure, please do.
So I feel like maybe the first meeting would be most conductive like after the town vote. Because then we can talk about, things that got implemented, things that got shot down. And then maybe somewhere around CIP.
What if we work it out
time?
that the possibility that our snowbirds will be around, more Alton residents will be here if we can fit it in
Yep,
that
like
type of
August?
October,
Like May
September
May and November. November's a little late,
or October?
well, like September.
but
because
April's a little early.
You got to get prepared for all the votes that will take place from town meeting.
so maybe like April, yeah,
April.
and
Yeah,
September or October.
well, that's 6 months is, yeah, but
Yeah.
we don't have to be 6 months,
Okay.
right?
So,
April
Just
and
twice a
October.
year.
so how about we just simply state within 30 days following town elections, and,
6 months.
Sometime in
and then approximately 6 months following.
Then that would be October.
Yeah, so that's,
April,
yeah,
October.
that's, I like that.
But if there's something sort of semi-specific.
Yeah.
Then Jessica can put it on a calendar and send out a notice.
Well, they could meet,
We don't want to forget it. is
could
what
meet
we're
3
trying to
times
say.
if they're
Yeah,
elected
that's
to,
fine.
right? I mean, we don't have to hold them to the 2.
Minimum of twice a year. I'd
Yeah,
like to
let's use the
amend my
word
motion.
minimum. Second that amendment.
So minimum
Mhm.
of 2 meetings a year.
Yeah, that way the committee, if they feel they have something they need to address, they can meet more if they so desire.
Yep. Okay, so we have a motion. We have a second. Any more discussion? That was productive.
Oh, it's well worth it.
Right, hearing no more discussion. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
And we're gonna hold off on the CIP stuff until after the election. Is that plan, Jess?
Yeah, election of officers and committee assignments
To next month?
till we know sort of who's who.
So we also do have, I guess this would be the final invoice, right, from
Oh, yes.
Tara?
Yep.
And this includes big number, $1,500 plus, but it includes all of those, that printing that had to be done.
Yep.
As well. That's like $1,400 just in printing costs.
That's 40. 40 microphones.
Yep.
Yeah.
So where did you get those? Where are those?
So I'm gonna distribute those after elections, just to ensure that the current,
Make sure a couple go to the library.
right, that current, ZBA members, current planning board members, select board members, everyone that's moving forward will ensure that they have a copy.
And you, of course.
Yeah, yeah, library, some department heads requested it.
Do we have that digitally?
Yes,
So I would recommend put master plan digitally on the as a PDF on the town website.
it's already on the website.
Well, great thinking.
Brilliant.
Um, it's on the website and they actually accidentally sent us 20 copies of black and white. So there are, if anyone wants a free black and white copy.
Heck, when I
In-
grew up,
in
everything was
addition
black
to-
and white.
Price.
Stagecoach Theater.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. We didn't get charged for that, so.
Predates everyone here.
Okay, so, yep, so this is fine, Jessica, we don't need, Jessica, Tara, we don't need to vote on that.
No, and then I just gave you the, you got that breakdown of all the invoices.
Yeah. And then the correspondence for board's review, we don't have any. Board's information, we don't have any. Any other information, any other business to come before the board? So we have New Hampshire Office Planning and Zoning to hold a free virtual workshop.
Yep, it's really fun. They decided to start holding them on virtually instead of having
They
to pay
do
for
all the
them.
classes?
So yeah, so it's just gonna be online. So this is the event that I usually state to you guys. If anyone's interested, I have 2 openings,
Is it a
that I've budgeted
Now
for. So
everybody can-
now it's just free online.
Is it a Zoom meeting?
It's,
Yeah,
it's
basically
Zoom.
Zoom.
It's on Saturdays. It's a two Saturdays in a row, from 9 to 12.
There's usually a choice of 3, 4, 5 classes that
Yep.
you could take, whether if there's some stuff for zoning board and there's some stuff. Sometimes you need to know about some of this other stuff.
Yep.
I can't recommend it strongly
Yeah.
enough to attend them. That, and the other thing is, do they still do the law lecture series?
Yep, and I think they're doing the same thing. They may hold that hybrid. It might be, you can show up or you can Zoom. So when that comes around, I'll be sure to,
For years,
Love that.
it's a great education.
it is.
Plus you get to meet a lot of interesting different lawyers all over the state.
Oh, that would make me warm and fuzzy.
No, they're interesting. They really are.
You know, you have a lawyer buried up to his neck in sand, not enough sand.
So do we have,
Yeah.
so last item on the list, public input on non-case specific planning issues? Get nothing?
No? Have you enjoyed?
Not
yourself?
enough activity.
It was nice enough for Robin to come tonight and
Yeah.
want to see the board in action.
Be a part of it.
Well, it's good when we only have three things and they cancel one of them.
Why does that keep getting pushed back?
All right, so I'll entertain one last motion.
I move, we move. Boy, I'll second it.
Bill makes the motion, Scott seconds it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Have a lovely
Oh.
evening, everybody.
All right, just a reminder, recordings are still running.
Might get away.